Hello, and welcome to Storytime Saturday with the Muskingum County Library System. My name is Jennifer with the Youth Services Department, and today will be the last of our Storytime Saturdays for the summer. We will begin them again in September, so please keep an eye out on social media and on our website to see when those will start. We are going to start with a nursery rhyme, and I chose a nursery rhyme about the moon for today because I am pre-recording this program. It will be posted on our website and Facebook later. And today is actually July 20th, which is the 51st anniversary of when we landed on the moon. So I thought we could do a nursery rhyme about the moon today. This is actually not a very common nursery rhyme. You may have never heard it before, but it goes like this. There was an old woman tossed up in a basket, 17 times as high as the moon. Where she was going, I couldn't but ask it, for in her hand she carried a broom. Old woman, old woman, old woman, said I, where are you going to, up so high? To brush off the cobwebs in the sky. May I go with you? Aye, by and by. Perhaps you've never heard that one before. Now, the story we're sharing today, I'm sure you probably have heard before. It is the story of a little girl called Little Red Riding Hood. It was first told by the Brothers Grimm, and it's probably set in Germany. And it goes like this. Once upon a time, there was a little girl named Red Riding Hood. Everyone called her that because everywhere she went, she wore a cape with a hood. One day, her mother told her to please take a basket of goodies to her grandmother, who lived on the other side of the forest, and she was feeling rather poorly. And if you're not feeling well, you should stay home, correct? Yes, that's right. So that's what Little Red did. Off she set into the forest with her basket of goodies for her grandmama, as she called her. And while she was on her way, the forest got a little bit darker and a little bit deeper, even though she knew the way pretty well. Sometimes she was a little scared, for hiding behind a tree was the big, bad wolf. And as Little Red came upon him, he said to her, "Hello, my dear, what's in your basket?" And she said, "Oh, some goodies for my grandmama. She's not been feeling very well." "Grandmama not feeling very well," said the wolf. "How terrible! Well, I must take her some goodies." "Where does she live again?" said the wolf. "Oh, she lives down the road this way." "Now, which direction is that again?" said the wolf. "You go to the left," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh, that's right," said the wolf. "Well, I'll let you be on your way. We mustn't keep Grandmama waiting." And the wolf went off down the road ahead of Little Red Riding Hood, who stopped to pick some flowers for Grandmama as well, because she was the kind of girl who did something called dilly-dally. I know, because I'm that kind of girl too. And it took her a little while to get places. Well, maybe that was a little bit of a good thing, because in the meantime, the wolf came into Grandmama's cottage, where Grandmama was, poor thing, sick in bed, waiting on her granddaughter to bring her some treats. And in burst the wolf. Ha 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 ha. For he had an idea. Not only could he have the treats in the basket, but he could have a juicy Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother too. Yum, 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 because wolves like to eat things like that, right? Uh-oh. Well, Grandmama was so frightened that she jumped up out of bed and she went and hid in her wardrobe, this big piece of furniture here. There she is. But she had dropped one of her nightgowns out of the wardrobe and one of her nightcaps that she wore when she was in bed. And the big bad wolf picked it up, and he had a terrible, awful idea. He put on Grandmama's nightgown, and her sleeping cap, her bonnet there, and her glasses, her extra pair that she kept by her bed, and he decided he would pretend to be Grandmama. And in comes Little Red Riding Hood. She had finally got there. And she goes to her grandmama's bed and she said, "I brought you some treats, Grandmama. I hope you will be feeling better soon." And Grandmama says, "Oh, thank you. Put them down there on the floor." "Oh, your voice sounds very hoarse," said Little Red Riding Hood. "Are you not feeling very well at all, Grandmama?" "Oh, no, not feeling very well at all," said the big bad wolf, pretending to be Grandmama. And Little Red looked at her grandmother and she thought, And she said, "Grandmama, what big eyes you have." And that nasty wolf said, "The better to see you with, my dear." And she said, "Grandmama, what big ears you have." And that wolf said, "The better to hear you with, my dear." And she took one last close look and she said, "Grandmama, what big teeth you have." And the big bad wolf said, "The better to gobble you up with, my dear." And Little Red screamed, "Ah!" And she ran into the wardrobe with her grandmama. Well, meanwhile, outside, there had been a man chopping some wood. I'll put him up here. I know it looks a little funny, but... And he heard the commotion coming from inside Grandmama's cottage. So he busted down the door with his axe. And he heard them screaming from the wardrobe. And he busted open the wardrobe with his axe. And then he chased that big bad wolf away. And they never saw him again. But Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother were safe. And she went home and she decided that she wouldn't speak to strangers anymore when she met them on the road, which is actually a very good advice. Don't talk to strangers. Don't talk to people you don't know, correct? That's right. The end. I do have a basket with me today too. Now this isn't a basket of treats, unless you consider books treats. Of course they are, right? And I do have a couple of different versions of Little Red Riding Hood. Some of my favorites. This one is called Yummy by Lucy Cousins. It actually has several different stories in the book. There is one with beautiful illustrations, Little Red Riding Hood by Trina Shart Hyman. And this one won awards for its illustrations, as you can see there. That scary big red wolf. Look, there's Little Red going into Grandmama's cottage. There are some other fun versions that are a little bit different than what you might expect. There is a Cajun Little Red Riding Hood called Petit Rouge. This one is by Mike Artel. There's a Little Red Riding Hood set in Africa called Pretty Salma by Nikki Daly. There's even one that's a little bit more modern called Little Red Riding Hood, A Newfangled Tale, a Newfangled Prairie Tale by Lisa Campbell Ernst. As you can see, Red Riding Hood is actually wearing a red hoodie and she's on a bicycle. So lots of great versions of this that you can borrow here from the library, and also check out Hoopla and Overdrive to see if there are some good versions there, and I'm sure there are. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for joining us for all of our Storytime Saturdays this summer. Our next Storytime will actually be a Facebook Live event on Wednesday, August 12th at 11 a.m., and we'll be reading a book called The Biggest Burp by Tracy Hecht. So that's going to be lots of fun. Have a great day. And if we don't get to see you again on August 12th, then have a great rest of your summer. Thank you.